It's Sunday afternoon here in Costa Rica. We're under 5 o'clock at 4:38, which means that I'm in Mountain Time. And I'm going online rather than tomorrow. Why? Because tomorrow I have to spend the day running errands, running and picking up my stuff from Costco, Price Mart, Walmart, and Liberia, and all the other things. I'm going to be busy all day tomorrow. I'm anticipating. And on Tuesday, I have to film with a documentary crew. So I'm going to be super busy. Hey, Noelle. So I figure I might as well jump in and just do everything now. Particularly, I'm trying to distract myself. Hurricane Ida, I've got to start with that first. I have relatives in the greater New Orleans area that I talked to this morning before this went bad who were refusing to go to even to the shelters. They're to just stay at their homes. I don't get it, especially after Katrina. These are people that lived through Katrina and should know better, but no, they're sheltering in place. And I can't even call them now to see how they're doing because power is off in most of the areas where I have family living. So I don't know, Noelle. I think it's a Cajun thing because my childhood, we never evacuated for hurricanes. I had great aunts and great uncles in Biloxi when Camille hit. I remember Betsy, I remember Camille, all of these places. So glad my family is in it. Arkansas now. Yep. So Louisiana is getting pounded right now. I guess I will hear later. All I can do is for them, and I've already said, why are you there? One person I talked to, I said, I've already looked up what the shelters are in your area. Promise me that if it gets too crazy, you'll make an effort to go to the shelter if it starts getting crazy. So there's that. So I'm actually dealing with that. So I'm hoping I'll come on here and talk a little bit about Afghanistan and the Christian ministries, because that's one of the things I'm upset about with the whole Afghan situation. I don't know about you, but I have been watching the coverage of Afghanistan before this Ida thing came along, and watching, I'm sure, the same horrible videos that everybody has seen of people clinging on to the wings of the wheel wells and various things and falling out of the sky, and people desperate to leave Afghanistan because they're afraid of what the Taliban's going to do because they cooperated with the U.S. government. It's kind of heartbreaking to see. I don't know about you guys. It is a disaster. Hey, Ruth. It is. I don't know about it. Or should I say, what are they going to do about it? Well, we're all going to do about it because we're all interconnected. As I've said before, we're all interconnected. I don't care where we are in this world. We all are, whether we like it or not. Yeah, I'm not, Noelle, I voted for him, but I'm not feeling him. I'm just going to say that. I haven't felt the last 2 or 3 presidents. So there we go. I'm not happy with any of them. Actually, farther back than that. It's way back since I've ever been happy with a president. And so there's that. This thing has been mishandled from the beginning. We should have never been over there in the first place. Not after 9/11. Even chasing the people, we should have done it a different way. That's just my personal opinion. I just am not a fan of going into these countries and looking for terrorists. Every country that has gone into why do I always do this? Afghanistan has gotten their asses kicked. It's the Vietnam syndrome. You cannot go into a country with that ancient of a culture and think you're going to fix it overnight. It just doesn't happen. So the British have been thrown out. The French, I think the French were there for a while. They were thrown out. Russia took a big knee on that one. They got their butts kicked. And we're just the last group to go in and try to bend the place to what our culture is and fail. So I'm not a big fan of going into other countries and doing that stuff. Okay, I know the Marshall Plan says we're supposed to stand up for truth and justice all over the world and all that, but do we really need to be doing that in every country of the world? Yeah, there was a much better way to do this. Noel, I hear you. So I'm going to shut up about it too. Here's what I'm looking at about that's not been picked up by the mainstream media. I'm seeing on Facebook and on Twitter all these people that either know someone who's a missionary or they're in a missionary in that area. And instead of saying, oh my goodness, I got to get myself out of here, they're saying, I'm about to meet Jesus because I'm about to be martyred by the Taliban. I don't understand that mindset. Okay, I sometimes have problems with people who go into missionary work because you have people like, I want to say John Michael Carr, but I don't think that was his name. The young man that went to one of the islands there that is off limits, I can't think of the man's name. I just had it a few minutes ago. He went there. There were people that were not. It was a country that near India where this particular island was primitive and hostile to outsiders, and he inserted himself and died. That is one of my problems when people go into these places where they're, yeah, being martyred unnecessarily doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Don't martyr yourself. Even though you think you're going to meet Jesus. And when I start reading all these people who are missionaries in Afghanistan who are going, praise Jesus, when the Taliban takes over, I'll probably be executed, blah, blah, blah. I'll be a martyr. My story will be told forever. I'm just like, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. And these things happen where you sometimes have to do that. I told the story before. My husband's family was in Nigeria when the Nigerian Civil War went on back in the, I want to say mid-60s. It was in mid-60s. My husband graduated high school in 1969, and he was 10th grade, so maybe it was 1967. They had to leave in a hurry. They had to leave everything. They lost everything they owned. My father-in-law had to get into a canoe to get out because he had to stay and assure that everybody in his college got out. So there are going to be those times when those things happen, and you just run for the border as best you can, and you don't worry about it. But I am seeing a particular level of, I'm just going to call it stupidity, okay, about being a missionary in Afghanistan. Please, for the love of God, leave. The window is closing for you to leave with the American government and with all the other governments of the world. Everyone is pulling out. A lot of the troops have already been pulled out. I got to say, I'm surprised at the Taliban doing the borders and working in some cooperation with the military. I guess they're that eager to have the Americans out, but please. The window is closing and there's 2 more days and then you're stuck there. Because I don't know what the commercial airline aspect is going to look like, but I can hardly think there's going to be that many. The good news is some of the land borders are still open. The land border with Pakistan is still open. They opened it in particular for this particular circumstance of people running for their lives. I'm not a big fan of people doing that stuff. It just boggles all common sense. You want to tell people about Jesus? You want to help people? Fine. It's not like the U.S. or wherever you're at doesn't have 5 trillion problems already, and they couldn't use some help because they certainly could. I know here the needs are great. The needs are very great. If you want to bless somebody with a practical thing, that's a whole different ballgame. But to purposely put yourself in harm's way and then say, oh, I'm going to meet Jesus, you just suck. I'm sorry, you do. That is a problem, Noel. That's why I mentioned that I'm glad that Pakistan has kept the land borders open, because once the U.S. military pulls out, your only option as an American is probably going to be to cross in a land border to one of the neighboring countries. And I don't know what relations are like with all the other countries around Afghanistan, how many border crossings are going to be open. There may be none. Maybe Taliban will close all of them. Who knows? But at the same time, I hate to see people be left behind who are going to change their minds and suddenly decide they're not going to be a martyr, and it'll be too late. It's like my family in New Orleans area that will not go in shelters. I'm just like, I don't get it. I understand every time there was hurricanes, you couldn't get hotel rooms. I remember Katrina in particular because even up in the part of Northern Virginia we got people from South Louisiana that couldn't find any other place to stay and had family, friends, whatever in that part of Virginia. It does seem just like Islam, Noelle, and their insistence on their law, their way or no way also seems like that. And the way that they treat women, the way that fundamentalists want women to be treated in the U.S., I don't see any difference with Islam at all. And it's not Islam in general I have a problem with, but I think hating all of Islam is like hating all of Christianity because of Westboro Baptist. It's the same thing. Not everyone is as radical as the Taliban. And I'm still trying to sort out the difference between ISIS-K, the Taliban, and all the different groups that all hate each other, even though their basic beliefs are their core. I'm reminded all the Christian groups that fight one another here. And I just, for the life of me, cannot understand why they're doing this. It just strikes me as counterproductive. I hope they get their country back for them. I hope they run it in a way that is good for their citizens. I'm not even going to make an aspiration. No, say, oh, this is terrible, because I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe democracy is possible. Maybe they want the Taliban there. Maybe that's the kind of ruling that most of them want. And if that's the case, then they should be allowed to have how they decide to run their country. Who knows? So anyway, that rant is over. I saw last night that Real Entertainment News had decided to go on Katie Joy's live stream when she had opened it to others. Apparently his God tour in peace, we're trying to make peace. Hey, Real, I was just talking about you. Trying to keep peace with Katie Joy. I want to know what that's all about. Can you explain that to me? Because I have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with you making peace with the other ones. You make peace all day with those people. But here's my observation with people making peace with Katie. She stabs them in the back immediately, if she even accepts the peace offering, and then she turns on them. So I understand what you're trying to do. I just don't understand how you think that's going to go, because I've just seen this happen too many times in the Katie Joy community. And I see her stab people in the back every day who try to turn to her. And it's always puzzling when people that I know try to do that. I don't get it. I would even want to make peace with her. I will never understand. Well, I can understand wanting to make peace. I just don't understand it with her, because we've seen what happens with her. No more peace. I want war with everyone again. I think it's good you made peace with some. I'm not going to make peace with some of those people. There are just one or two of them that I just cannot make peace with, because I'm still annoyed. It takes me a while to get to the point where I can say, hey, let's have a truce. It usually takes me a while to get to forgiveness. I don't know about you guys, but it always does. And it depends upon how bad the offense is. If somebody does something ignorant, usually takes me a couple of days. But if it's a huge ignorant thing, then it can take me a long, long time. My husband can tell you, I had an aunt that I held a grudge with to the day she died. And I know that I was only hurting myself holding this grudge, But this woman had started a fight with my father the day he had his stroke, about a half hour before he had a stroke. And I believe, from what was told me from family members who were there, that she was the precipitating event that caused his stroke. Now, when he died the next day, and I was there, and everybody's telling me about this aunt's behavior and everything, I was just not feeling it. And then for her to parade around his funeral and act like it was a garden party, and the things she said and did are just unbelievable. So there are some people in this world you're not going to ever be able to come to with peace. I believe that with Katie Joy. There is no way to reach peace with her. God knows I tried. Aaron, I just decided to jump on because I looked at my schedule for this week, and my schedule is crazy. Tomorrow is run around and pick up everything I've ordered from Costco, PriceSmart, Walmart. I've got to pick up my computer. My computer's in the shop. I'm using an old one right now. All sorts of things. So I've got the schedule. It's crazy. I don't know what time I'm actually going to be back to my house, because it's going to be a long road trip all over the place. And Tuesday, I have filming with the documentarians and other talks for another project. So Tuesday, I'm actually busy too. And I haven't even folded the clothes I washed this weekend. So I'm really behind. Please give me some of your motivation. Aaron, I wish I had it. I wish I had it. If I did, I would be folding clothes right now and not hanging around online. As I was telling everybody earlier, I have family members in New Orleans or in the path of Ida that I've spoken to this morning that I could not convince to go into a shelter. And they're in areas right now that are without power. I don't know if they lived, died, or what happened. And I'm a little bit worried. You haven't unpacked anything from yesterday. It took me, when we moved here, it was the easiest unpacking because we shipped our goods in stages. So the first time we unpacked like that, the second time because I was organized when I packed too, that made a difference. The second time it was the real estate agents throwing everything into the shipping container, and then it got held up at aduana, and then I didn't get 2/3 of my stuff. Time it was the real estate agents throwing everything into the shipping container, and then it got held up at aduana, and then I didn't get 2/3 of my stuff. So the few things they did bring, I was so heartbroken, I let them stay on the porch for like several months. I just left everything out there. I was just kind of done. And eventually I recovered enough to be able to unpack. I think I probably will move back at some point. Not right now, obviously, because of COVID and everything else. I think so, because we've actually had conversations about Oregon. My husband wants to move out west. He wants to move to somewhere like Santa Fe or Phoenix or somewhere like, I know, Las Cruces is where he said. I'm not in love with the idea of Las Cruces. Las Cruces was a nice town a few times I visited. But it doesn't feel like a place I want to live. I'm just not a person that will do well out west. I can tell you that right now. I don't think the West is for me. Not to mention it's ungodly hot there without having a beach. At least here, when we get super hot, we can go to the beach or get in the pool. And I just don't see that. I told my husband there are a couple places I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind Savannah. I like Savannah a lot. And I wouldn't mind Charlotte. I like Charleston. I'm sorry, not Charlotte. Charlotte was where I had my disastrous changing planes. I am not impressed with that area of the country at all. But Charleston, I spent a couple of weeks in Charleston and I loved it. I loved it. Charleston, the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area is another one that I like, but not too terribly far from the ocean. One thing I know about myself, I'm an East Coast girl. I'm East Coast or South or Southeast, but I can't see myself living out West. I mean, I just can't. That's just not my thing. And I have a lot of friends that live out West that do great, but that's one of the things that's been hard here. The only time we have green is in rainy season, which is right now. Dry season was lovely outside, and I'm out and about. It's just ugly, dry, and you're always out there watering. I miss my greenery. I miss the East Coast, the South, where it's just beautiful all summer. I miss that badly. Even though everybody says, "Oh, it's winter, winter, winter," does that? I like winter too. I like snow. Not too much snow, but I like some snow. Just enough to kill the allergens. I used to love that when it would snow in Virginia where we lived. That first good hard snow could be anywhere from November on to January, and be out there walking in it after it stopped, middle of the night, walking in it, breathing in the air, breathing it in, killing, being able to breathe all the way to the bottom of my lungs because all the mold spores and things would be killed. Savannah is really a nice area. And so is Charleston too. I mean, Charleston, I liked North Charleston. I could see myself living there pretty easily. So that's kind of where we're going, I think, when we leave. My husband out west. I want Norfolk, even though they do have winters in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. I would still walk the beach in 20-degree weather, but that's just me. So who knows? I think eventually we will. My husband's going to be 70 this year. I'm 61. I think that as things go on, if we keep having health issues, then it might happen. Yeah, too bad we can't sell right now because I'm going to tell you something about moving to Tamarindo since everybody's moving here. Rents have doubled. Home prices have skyrocketed. Why? Because I guess everybody's abandoning the U.S. in droves. We're seeing properties that set on the MLS listing for 2 or more years that are going like that for top dollar. I'm kind of kicking myself right now that I didn't buy this at Tesla, not too far from Playa Negra, because that place was fabulous, but it had stairs. My husband and I did not want stairs. We said we want a one-level place. We had a Cape Cod with very steep steps. This place was fabulous. It was huge. It was like 4,000 square feet, and half of that was the master bedroom. The master bedroom had this balcony. It looked out to the ocean. You could see the ocean from every room of the house. And I thought the place was priced at that point too. That place got snapped up. After COVID lifted and people started coming here, rents doubled, house prices doubled. So this place would go for a sadly large sum of money, I'm afraid. And I haven't even finished with the kitchen remodel yet. I haven't even really started beyond tiling it. I haven't painted or done anything else yet. So I know that that's how it is in the States too. The properties have gone way, way up, and I'm not looking forward to that. But next time, I'm thinking it's going to have to be a one-level condo or something small, maybe a tiny home. I don't know how you guys feel about living in a tiny home, but I think that I'm down for that, particularly after living in this big house and having to clean it all the time. Since my last stroke, sweeping has become a problem because of the balance. And I didn't want to spend the money on getting another Roomba because the electric here